This is the ALLPOWERS 600 watt portable power station. Let's take it out of the box. In the box you get the instruction manual. They give you the power station itself and a nice little bag here. In the bag, which is zippered, they give you a couple of cables. They give you the power cable to charge it. We'll talk about that in a second. And also a solar charging cable that has these type connectors on there. So you need to get your own solar panel if you wanted to do solar charging that will interface with these connections as such. As far as power, a lot of these battery boxes or power stations or anything like that have a separate brick, as they call it, that plugs in. Then you get like this brick looking thing and the cable comes out of that and you plug it in. This uses a standard IEC type power cord, just like a computer, like a desktop computer would use. Just a standard IEC power cord like that. The power supply to charge it is built right into the unit. Let me tell you more about the specifications of the unit, then we'll go over everything, and then of course we're going to test it out. So as stated before, this is a 600 watt power station. Battery inside is 299 watt hours. It's an LiFePO4 battery that's in there to power it. This has 10 outputs in total, including barrel jack connections, USB connections. There's a 12 volt like cigarette lighter or power socket if you must be politically correct port, and a couple of AC outlets, because this will put out 120 volts AC power. Those covered up like that. And there's also one other one, which is hard to see from this angle, but I'll show it to you later. There's a built-in wireless cell phone charger right on top of the unit. You just put your phone on there and it charges. And again, we'll go over that a little bit later. The 120 volt outlets are pure sine wave and can handle up to a 1200 watt surge. So it's 600 watts sustained running, but it can handle up to a 1200 watt surge to get something like a motor or something that makes the lights blink in the house when you turn it on, that kind of thing. It can support up to 1200 watts for that. The battery inside has a 3500 plus life cycle to 80%. What does that mean? A life cycle of a battery refers to how many times you can recharge it. And, you know, typically a full life cycle is 0 to 100%. So completely dead to fully charged is one life cycle. 3,500 plus times you can do that to 80%, because you can split the life cycles up as such. If it's 50% and you charge it to 100%, that's a half a life cycle. So however you want to slice and dice those numbers is up to you. This supports up to 300 watt solar charging, 200 watt vehicle charging DC, and 400 watt AC power recharging, plugging it into the house, for example, to recharge it. And it can recharge in 1 hour. That is pretty impressive. I have some other ones, they take 6, 7, even 8 hours to charge, and it just takes forever for it to do that. This also has UPS support. That means, if you know what a UPS is, uninterruptible power supply for your computer or other stuff like that, if you have it plugged into AC power and something plugged into this, it has a 10 millisecond switchover. So if you lose AC power, it'll switch over to battery power within 10 milliseconds, and therefore it will act as a UPS. The wireless charger on top is 15 watts. And there also is an app you can get for your phone called the ALLPOWERS app that will let you interface with this via Bluetooth, and we'll take a cursory look at that. Let's get a closer look at the unit itself and all of its ports. So over here you have barrel jack connectors. You have your cigarette lighter port like I showed before, and the two AC outlets as you see right there. And then you have two USB-C ports and two USB-A type ports there. There's a flashlight built in as well. Let me just close these up for a second right here. Okay, there we go. There's a handle built in on top, so I can pick the entire unit up and turn it this way. And in this cover, there we are. Solar charging, a circuit breaker to reset, and that's where the AC power goes to recharge it, right in that little compartment right there. Around the back is nothing to speak of, and the other side, really nothing to speak of either. We can turn the unit on over here. So press the button, it turns on, and we have a nice display. So it says we have 70% battery life, and it's saying the wattage input and the wattage output right there, as well as the time remaining on that. We'll go to the flashlight and show you that. We're going to start with the simplest stuff and work our way all the way up to the maximum that this is going to do. So we can turn the light on just by pressing the button. There we go there. You don't see much with it staring at the camera, so I'll just turn it off to the side. If you hold the button, it'll do SOS mode. Press the button again and it shuts off. So you have solid on or SOS mode. Let me give you a quick example of what the flashlight can do in the dark. So there it is there. Certainly not too bad. Nice at maybe a campsite or something. Light throws out pretty far. So now we're going to go over all of the different outputs and how all of that works. First thing we can do is turn on the USB. You need the USB on for the wireless charger to work. If I put the phone, there it goes right there. Just, find the right spot and it charges. There it goes there. So once you find the right spot, it will charge. Over here I have a couple of USB cables. This is a USB-C connection phone, so we can plug that in. And obviously this is obvious stuff, but we'll go ahead and plug that in over there. There's your output. As you can see, that's pulling 4 watts using a USB-A to C cable. Here I have a USB-C to C cable. I don't know what supports what as far as faster charging, but we'll give it a shot. There you go. 11 watts, big difference. So you can charge your phone a lot faster with the USB-C cable than you can with the USB-A to C cable like that. So that actually makes a lot of good sense right there. So that's how that all works right there with the USB ports and the wireless charger, and we've seen the flashlight already. So I don't have anything to plug into the ports over here, barrel jack connections. There are some that you could plug in, that you could buy, that'll give you a cigarette lighter port, but you have one right here. So now let's go to that, because that's kind of the next biggest thing up. What can you plug in here? Anything you plug in a car. That could be a GPS. That could be a phone charger, if you have the old school phone charger that's just goes in there. A dash cam. That could be a thermoelectric cooler if you're camping. You can plug it in there. A lot of those have a cigarette lighter plug on them that can plug into that. I guess I'm popular today. And there are a host of other things. We're going to use a 12-volt tire inflator. I can't fit a tire here, but I do have a balloon that we can fill up. And it's not so much the, how long it's going to take to fill the balloon. I'll give you the time of that, but just to show you how it works and all that, and the wattage draw of it, just to give you an idea. I have a balloon connected to this tire inflator over here. We're going to start this up and let it run. I'm going to point out the wattage that it uses, and then I'm going to speed through the rest of the footage because all we're going to see is a balloon fill up, and I will run it until it pops. So anyway, I think this button will do it. There we go. Balloon is inflating. 34, 35 watts, 36, and that may go up further depending on how big the balloon gets and the pressure. So it may pull more wattage, especially connected to a car tire, because as the pressure increases, and we don't have much in the balloon, but as the pressure increases, it will put more of a strain on the motor and therefore pull more wattage. So let's wait till this pops. Well, the pump gave up early. Let's turn it on again. There we go. That certainly worked. So that was pulling about 36 to 37 watts. I have pieces of balloon everywhere, but that's of course to be expected. That did fairly well. No complaints with that. So this will do tire inflator, thermoelectric cooler. Like I said, maybe you're going camping, have an air mattress. A lot of those inflators use a cigarette lighter socket like that, so it can power that as well. So absolutely no trouble with that, as expected. Now we'll move on to AC power. So that did fairly well. We can turn off the USB because we're not using that anymore. And we can turn on the AC power. That was a fan inside that will run depending on what is needed. We're going to start with baby steps here. Here is a 7 watt or so orange bulb. Let's open that up and plug it in. I don't have a good connection in the socket, but there, it definitely works. It's running. It's not even showing, not even registering on the wattage output. But like I said, I know that that bulb is about 7 watts or so. So I don't know about exactly the sensitivity of that, but as you can see, it definitely runs that on AC power without any problem. Let me go hunt around and see what else I have around that will plug in, that is easy access. I have a few things in mind, and we'll keep testing. Over here is an old beat up oscillating fan that's rusty and not cared for, but it works. Let's give that a shot. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So the fan is on and it looks like it's pulling about 50 watts or so. 48. Fair enough. Over here it shows the time and it says 3, and there's a mark after that that says hours. I can't read it myself. So 3 hours running this 48 watt load. The 60 says hertz after it, so it shows you that. We'll turn that off. We'll turn it back on. Yep, everything just adjusts accordingly as it should. That is switched to 5 days now at no output power for just leaving the display on as such like that. This is baby stuff. We'll keep going here. Here is an equally uncared for small electric heater, 400 watts. Just because the heater says 400 watts doesn't mean it's going to pull 400. It'll pull less and then it will increase and may decrease as well because of the type of element that's in here. We'll turn that on. and that's going to take a little bit to go up. The display just blanked out, no worries, just press the button there. So as you see, it is increasing. Full heat output. $350 watts or so. And now we've changed to 27 minutes. And that's based off, that number is based off the battery percentage that we have left, which is down to 67. So the heater works, 370, almost 375, so close enough to 400. That's all good. That's certainly working. Now again, not a tremendous amount of time. That may change as the battery discharges a bit. So you may end up getting more time than that, or you may end up getting less. It's just an estimate. But it has gone down to 66. So we are pulling more than 50% of what this power station can put out. And that's already, you know, it's starting to be a little taxing. But we have other stuff. I have an electric drill. I don't know how many watts that pulls running, but should have a nice startup wattage pull. And I have another, like a buffer sander thing that we'll try. I know that pulls a good amount of wattage. And I think I also have an angle grinder around we can give a shot with. So let's get on to that. So here's a drill. It says it's 3 amps, approximately 300 something watts. We'll give it slow. We'll just start slow. So really, really slow. Pulling 10 watts. So as we increase speed, obviously, that goes up, but it's running at absolutely no problem. To run the drill this way for 2 hours, it says, at the current battery level. Let's go all the way. So there's full boat. That's 200 watts. The heater was pulling more, but let's give it from a dead stop and see. Again, the display just blanked out. Oh, wasn't fast enough to register it on the display, but it certainly started it without problem. Now let's move on. Here's an angle grinder. This says 4.3 amps. So let's see. This does not have any sort of speed control, so it's just full boat on. Absolutely no trouble whatsoever. Let's pull in 200 something watts there. Much higher initial startup wattage, of course. And of course, with the blade in this, as we get into stuff, the wattage is going to go up because you're making the motor run more. And it said that it was running for, it could run for some time there. Let's see. About 33 minutes with no load on it. So again, taxing, but again, we're down to only 63%. This came to me at 70%. So these times, if this were fully charged, could last considerably longer. All right, now let's throw the big stuff at it. So here's a polisher, 7-inch, and it says over here 10 amps. Now that's the maximum it's going to draw, but it is also kind of the most I really have that I can run off of this. This also has a speed control, and it's set at minimum. So we're going to just start with that, and again, kind of do baby steps. I'll increase the speed, and then of course at the end we'll see if it can give it the full boat at maximum speed, full throttle, you know, right pedal to the metal. So here's minimum, and it spins. It's running no problem. 50 watts. Let's increase the speed. full boat. Over 500 watts, and it handled it. So we'll go kind of medium speed. Let's give it that. Right off the line, no problem. Okay, here's full boat. The entire 10 amps thrown. As soon as I hit that, we'll see if it can do it. I screwed that up. It was on minimum. Run that all the way to maximum. Now, here we go. Overload. Yep, can't do that. But that's all right, because again, you can start the tool. We got to turn it back on because it overloaded there. Again, the fan starts up for a moment there. We could start minimum and then increase the speed. And it'll run it full boat, no problem. But we just can't start it full boat. It's too much of a draw that the power station can handle. So like I said, we climbed the ladder. Medium speed is no problem. But again, all the way up to max, just can't do it. But again, for a tool like this where you can change the speed, that's not a problem at all. Anyway, let's switch back to something else here that we can run that's quieter. Maybe I'll plug that fan back in and we'll take a look at the app. We have the fan plugged in. You might hear it in the background running. Here's the ALLPOWERS app. So we'll go into that. This is a Bluetooth device. It says turn on the phone's Bluetooth function and make sure that the phone positioning is turned on. After a short press on Bluetooth button to turn on the screen, then long press again to enter the Bluetooth mode. We are showing a Bluetooth icon there. So we'll hit next step. And look at that. It found it already. We'll hit that. It says connecting. There we are. So now you have everything right here on the display. 61%, and it shows that on the phone as well. Output power is 48 watts, which is the same as that. It says 3 hours 2 minutes remaining, so we get a better display of you know, how much time it's going to run for. It's a little bit better like that. Right now DC power is turned off. We can turn that on. There's nothing plugged into it over here. You can actually turn it off from the phone. We can turn AC power off. And there you go. That's kind of nifty. And turn AC power back on. Again, there is the fan in here. Now, depending on if you're charging or putting a really heavy load on it, that fan may start up. So it depends on what you're running. I mean, you know, you could plug a TV into this, a small TV, like LCD, something like that, and it'll run it, but that fan may come on at times to keep everything cool there. You can even turn the flashlight on and off right from the app right over there. If I could tap it, there we go. So that works. That's kind of nice that you have all of that. Definitely a pretty cool thing to have the app. It's not, you know, an end the world function or anything like that, but certainly is nice that you do have that kind of functionality from your phone. So that's pretty cool all around. So let's now wrap this all up. Well, actually, let's go plug it into charge now. So I have the power cord here. Let's go ahead and plug that in. And there we go. Now it's charging. It's using about 329 watts to charge the battery pack. Why is it not 400? It's because the battery is already up some. It doesn't, you can't, if you ever saw that with your phone, if it's dead, you can go from 0 to like 50% pretty quick. And then once you get up to like 80-something%, it takes like forever for that last little bit to go and charge all the way up. Let's also test the UPS function of it. We'll plug in the fan again. It's still turned on. Let that get up to speed. And we'll pull out the AC power. Absolutely stays running without any problem whatsoever. So it's plugged in, recharging, and it says about 18 minutes to recharge right there. That would be pretty impressive. I'm not going to stick around for that. I will let it, of course, recharge. This is a great thing if you're off-grid or if you're going camping or anything like that. It's got some weight to it. It's not incredibly heavy, but climbing a mountain with it is, you want to drive it to where you want it to go, is kind of what I'm telling you. It weighs a bit. It's not something you want to carry around all the time. And here's the fan. Yep, the fan is loud. It's just part of doing business, is what it is. You got a battery in here. You plug your phone in, that gets warm while it's charging, right? Now we got something that's going to power tremendous stuff. Well, that battery gets a lot warmer. So it needs a fan, and it needs to be efficient in cooling it. So yes, you will have that fan sound to deal with from time to time, but like I said, it's just part of doing business as such. We've already gone to 62% just in the time I've been talking here, from 60%. That's not bad at all. All around, it performed absolutely flawless. The only time it tripped up was the 7-inch polisher sander thing at the very end, going full boat all at once. 10 amps, 120 volts. Well, you get 100 to 120 volts coming out of here. So if you do the math, that really was actually overloading it ever so slightly. But you saw even at medium speed, it had no problem. And chances are very good you're not going to be running that tool at maximum speed from a dead stop too often. So even with that, it did excellent all around. Now again, all of those power tools that I showed you, once you start doing work with it, their wattage will of course increase, but even the angle grinder was 200 something watts. This will put out 600 sustain. So even if you're, leaning hard into a piece of metal and grinding that, this should be able to run it. Again, you are of course limited. The bottom line here is that when you have power that is not, just a regular cord, where you basically have unlimited power. Of course, you're all paying for it, but it's essentially unlimited. You take as much power as you want. You'll pay for it in the end. But it's essentially unlimited power in that regard. This box, in and of itself, by itself, has a limited amount of power. So you want to be very judicious in the loads that you're going to place on it, and what you want it to run and for how long. There are bigger battery boxes out there that can run, much bigger stuff. But I think for the average weekender camper or something like that, or if you're one of those off-the-grid type people, but you need for small kitchen appliances, maybe a small blender, stick blender or something like that, that you're only going to use for a couple of minutes at a time here and there, charge your phone with that or the wireless charger on top. The flashlight is nice. Like I said, camping, if you actually do the traditional thing with the tent and the whole thing, you can plug your phones in like that to charge, and you have the nice light on that to see, so you can get your campfire started. Pretty handy in that regard. So all around it's there. There's 2 power outlets. As I showed you before, I just used one. You can of course plug 2 different things in, and as long as you're not exceeding the power, it'll definitely do it. So all around, definitely a big winner. The only real downside is the noisy fan, but like I said, that's just part of doing business with this. They all have fans, they're all going to make noise, so it is what it is in that regard. But all around, this performed absolutely flawlessly. I love the fact, especially if you're going camping, something like that, that you can recharge via solar. Again, you do buy your solar panel separately, but you can get 300 watts, and right now, just off AC power, we're pulling 327. That's pretty close to 300 there. So you can get, you know, the full boat coming into this and recharge it in about an hour. Look, 14 minutes. So it'll recharge pretty quick. All around, a really, really great 600 watt portable power station from ALLPOWERS. If you'd like to purchase this item, I'll leave a link in the video description to the manufacturer's website where you can find this item available for sale. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.